Hi everyone, my name is Nisarga Kadam and today we are going to get started with UiPath's AI Fabric's language comprehension package in the fourth session. So we have been consecutively running through first three sessions. I hope you guys have attended first three sessions, which were really awesome, where we learned image moderation models, we learned about some English text classification models, and in the last session we saw the sentiment analysis model. And in the last session, there was a few difficulties and there was something which was pending from the technical perspective. So I will clarify it right now in the beginning of the session, and then we will start with the next model of today's topic. Okay. So let me share my screen and just simply confirm on chat if you're able to see my screen once I'm sharing it. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Perfect. Great. So in the last session, we dropped off on the sentiment analysis model execution. So the model we delivered was on AI Fabric sentiment analysis package. Now let me quickly run the model. Let me close this browser, okay, this browser is not an issue. So let me quickly run this model. What happens is this model will create a browser, open a browser, and it will open a TripAdvisor website. It will script the details out of this particular website. And as you can see on screen, it is already on the fourth page. So there are overall 20 data being extracted from this website, and then the sentiment analysis will be executed on top of each and every feedback received. This is the model which we built in the last session as part of sentiment analysis. And I was about to show you the accuracy comparison between the sentiment analysis model from AI Fabric and the Python sentiment analysis model. For that, I have also created a Python's sentiment analysis workflow with the text blob package. I hope you are aware about the text blob. If not, I will explain you the package, how it works, and I will show you the code, which is hardly only 4 to 5 lines of a Python code, which can be used for sentiment analysis. Now, this particular code, which is running right now, is running on top of AI Fabric deployed sentiment analysis model, which is trying to identify sentiments out of each and every customer's response and feedback uploaded on the TripAdvisor website. Okay. And the sentiment, along with the confidence of the accuracy of that particular sentiments, will be stored and saved in an Excel file at the end of the workflow, so that we can go ahead and we can verify the data being shared. Okay. So it is taking a couple of time and it is still running. So it's done. It took completely 1 minute 37 seconds. And there are 3 people who doesn't have any review data uploaded. So let's go and let's check the output file generated. Let me refresh the project folder and let's go to airline feedback. So these are the 20 people which delivered which gave the review. Out of that, Nia and this one SciCap and this consultant did not have any review. So sentiment was not predicted for these people. However, sentiment was predicted for rest of the people, along with the sentiments predicted in the 5 categories and confidence predicted. Now, this is based on UiPath's AI Fabric sentiment analysis model. Now, let me save this file with the name of AI in front, so that I do not create a confusion here. And now I have also a Python code for sentiment analysis, which is merely a code of only 4 lines. So let me show you in a Sublime Text. So what you do is you define a predict sentiment method. You import text blob. You ideally install text blob in your machine. So how do you install it? You just mention cmd, and in the command prompt you say pip install text blob. If you already have Python installed, so you can install this. For me, text blob will already be installed by default. So once I install this particular package, I can go ahead and I can use blob1 to store and to get the feedback, predict the sentiment of the feedback. And I can return this blob1 in the sentiment variable. Now what is happening, this Python code using UiPath's Python feature, what I'm doing is I'm identifying sentiments using the Python machine learning model. So let me discontinue this model and continue with this. Okay. And now let's try to check what is the accuracy. So you can see here, when I install the text blob, it says already you already have a, so requirement is already satisfied. That's why I already have it. You can install Python, you can install pip, and then you can install text blob if you want to use this code. And at the same moment, let me admit all the people. So once you install this, now let's try to run it with Python and let's see what is the accuracy that we get. So I executed it with Python. So website is open, data is being read. Okay. And all the sentiments will be predicted based on the Python machine learning model, will be stored in the similar Excel file format. And we can compare the predicted sentiments after this particular bot is executed. So this Python model does not reply back in a category of 5 predicted sentiments. It replies back only in the category of a number which is either positive, negative. So negative indicates for the negative feedback and positive number indicates for the positive feedback, 0 indicates the neutral feedback, and the number lies between the threshold of 1 to -1. Now let me refresh this and let's navigate to the Python's airline feedback. So this is the feedback which is extracted from Python code. You can see wherever there is a negative sign, it is nothing but negative sentiment, and wherever there is a positive, there is not negative, that is definitely a positive, and 0 is neutral. So as of now, I have only negative, positive, and very positive, very negative. Now, if we can compare this with the earlier extracted data, which is from the sentiment, from the AI fabric, we extracted this data, right? We'll put it here and you can check. So this was very negative. Actually, this sentiment is very, very negative, but it is predicted with the Python as simply negative with the less accuracy. So we can see after canceling a trip in April, let me wrap this text. You can see here, after canceling this trip in April, being assured numerous times over the past 6 months, my refund is being processed. I'm still yet to receive anything. I will now be lodging a complaint with the Ministry of Consumer. So this is a very negative statement actually, because she is actually going to log, she or he is actually going to log the complaint. So our AI fabric model of UiPath predicted very nicely that it is very negative with the confidence level, while Python's model did not predict it. It predicted only negative with the -0.18, which is the less confidence. Okay. Now let's talk about some other. So this is a positive, this is neutral, it's captured, that's okay. Now this one again, so this one here is very negative. It was identified as negative. Okay, this is also good. Now if we can compare anything else, let's say this is also very negative with 94% of accuracy. And this is negative with only 30% of accuracy. It is not even close to very negative. So here you can see the text had a very unpleasant experience where the flight attendee was focusing only on single passenger and neglecting all the business class passengers. So it is actually a negative feedback, which is very negative, which was predicted correctly by UiPath's sentiment analysis, while not with the text block Python. So one of you asked me a question, why to prefer UiPath AI Fabric OOTB models apart from Python models, while we can utilize Python also. The only difference is that the accuracy. Why UiPath have created such high-level components and high-level AI Fabric pre-trained models. They have trained a huge amount of data on these models, and that's why the accuracy of these models are really high, and the execution quality of these models are actually high. So you do not have to worry about the execution quality and the accuracy. That is going to be super fine. So this is how, this is what I wanted to tell you in the last session. You want to see the Python sequence? Akhil wants to see the Python sequence. Okay, cool. I can show you that. So let me close this. Let me close this. So here I navigate to the Python sequence. So in the Python sequence, what I'm doing is I'm first of all reading the Python Excel file. Then similarly counter for storing the values in the Excel. And then for each row of the feedback DT, what I'm trying to do here is I invoke the Python scope. Currently, I'm using Python 3.6, so I have selected Python 36 here. Target is 64-bit because my machine is 64-bit, and the path of the Python which you want to indicate. Then invoke the Python method, get the object from the Python, and then based on the answer of the Python, I have used if condition here to classify based on the received feedback. And then based on the confidence, I am writing all the data in the right cell for prediction and the confidence from the Python. It is a similar model as of AI Fabric. There is only a little bit more efforts put up to classify the data or to classify the text labels based on the confidence, because you only get one field, which is nothing but the confidence from 1 to -1 threshold. Okay. So that is the main difference of AI Fabric's sentiment analysis and Python sentiment analysis. And that's why I wanted to show you this. You can also create wonderful models with Python. Why not? But you need a very high level of Python knowledge, coding, again, integration standpoint, and a separate machine for Python. So why to do that when you can do that all stuff without coding in AI Fabric with the cloud-based model? So that is the only approach that we look positively here in AI Fabric. Now in today's session, we are going to look at wonderful package, which is language comprehension. Let me click and open it. So in the language comprehension, we have three models. The first model is question answering bot. The second model is semantic similarity, and the third is text summarization. Now, just by the title of these models, you can actually understand what must be going around inside these models. So the first model is about question answering. Let's open that. In the question answering model, this is open source by Onyx. This model predicts the answer to the question that you send inside the model as an input. Okay. And you receive answer as an output. So how do you know that? You have sample input here. So input is just like this, a JSON file where you send a paragraph and a question, and output is nothing but answer to that particular question that you send, right? So here the question is, which year did Lincoln pass away? So answer is Abraham Lincoln was blah, 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 March, and until assassination till April 1865. So the answer is 1865. So it automatically identifies the answer from the particular paragraph and gives the answer to you based on the particular questions which you asked. So this is one of the coolest model which is there in UiPath's AI Fabric, which I personally like a lot. This is really a nice model for the students. I mean, just keeping in target for playing around for the students, but as an industrial use, you can use it at numerous places. Think about the use cases where you can utilize it actually to take the feedback or to actually train train the person on some particular theoretical topic. So you can enter a huge amount of paragraph and you can just ask simple questions on the paragraph and you can get answers very quickly based on the intelligence from machine learning. So how this model exactly works and how to deploy this model. To deploy this model, we will use a similar way. So first of all, what we will do is we will navigate and we will create a project. Once you create a project, the project will look like this. You will navigate to dataset. You do not have to upload any dataset, is because question answering bot is pre-trained bot, so you do not need any dataset. You will navigate to ML packages. So you will click on the out of the box model. We have to click on the language comprehension, and then simply we have to select the question answering. The latest version of the question answering model is 1, and then we have to click on submit, and we have to submit this particular ML package. So once we do that, this model will be uploaded, this ML package will be created. Then we also do not have to create a pipeline, is because this is not a retrainable model. This is a pre-trained model. And then we need to create ML skill. So ML skill will be created based on the predefined deployed ML package. So you simply need to click on create new, select the model, select the package, and create the model with the version 1. There is not going to be a new version, is because it is not a retrainable model. Once the model will be available, you can see the version of the model right here, status of the model, and deployed on what time. Okay, obviously you will not have a GPU, because if you're using an enterprise trial edition, you won't have a GPU here. And in the ML logs, you can see all the logs of all the operations which are happening. Okay. Now with this, let's navigate back to the ML skill. So once we deploy this ML skill, which is a question answering model, once you deploy it, once it is available on your UiPath orchestrator, now let's see how can we leverage it and how can we use it. So for that, for using it, I have created a bot called as Q&A bot, okay, which we will create in today's session. But before that, let me open a website. So let's say I opened a website where I can get paragraph based questions and paragraph based, I'm just giving you for an example. So let's say this paragraph we will take. So let me run the bot and let's see how can we utilize question answer model in UiPath AI Fabric. Okay, so we will click here and we will say run. Now, as soon as we clicked on run, it is asking for paragraph. So I will select all this entire paragraph. I will copy it, paste it here and say, okay, so paragraph is done. Now let's ask a question. So what question do we want to ask? So let's say this is the paragraph and the question we can ask is Darwin uncovered the theory of evolution. So let's ask who uncovered the theory of evolution. Now, if we get the answer, wouldn't it be a great model? Because we just entered paragraph and we asked a question in your own natural language. It is not defined that you should ask question based on the same language. And the answer is Darwin, as you can see here. Isn't this great? And now you can simply click on OK and you get to choose the option also. So it is asking you for option. Do you want to ask next question based on the same paragraph? Do you want to move on to the next paragraph or do you want to exit? So I say next question on the same paragraph. So I will click on OK. Now what happens if I choose the next question on the same paragraph? I get to ask another question. So let's say, let's ask, we can predict how life will be in the future. So let's ask, what can we predict? Let's see if this model can answer this question. What can we predict? So answer is how life will be in the future. And isn't this wonderful? So this bot was able to actually answer exactly what we asked, what can we predict, and we can predict how life will be in the future. So, and now let's say I want to move to the next paragraph. Okay, I do not want to ask any more questions on this paragraph. I want to ask questions on this paragraph, let's say on this one. So I will simply say next paragraph. I will click OK. Now it is asking me to enter the paragraph. So I will copy this data from here. I will navigate here and I will paste it here. Simply say okay, and let's start asking questions on this paragraph. Okay, so sedimentary rocks are formed by process of sedimentation. So let's ask how sedimentary rocks are formed. Now you can play with this model all day long. I know this is really, really interesting model and really wonderful bot which you can actually create. And if you can think about a business use case of this, it is going to create a very high revenue for you. Answer is sedimentation, which is correct. Now let's click on OK and this time let's say exit. Perfect. So this entire bot we were able to create within only this small piece of code, which is right now present on screen. That's it. This is how simple it is. Now, are you interested? I mean, I know you're so excited to create this bot. So let's start building this bot from scratch, because this is what we target to do in each and every session of ours. Okay. So in order to get started with building this bot, let's navigate and let's create a new instance of UiPath Studio. Okay. And let's click on process and let's say Q&A UiPath session. So I say create. Now think about the bot execution. Okay, so the first question that we asked is the paragraph. The second question that we asked is the question. So what do we need to do? So very first thing, let's drag activity called as flowchart here, is because this is going to be a logical bot where there are many loopbacks. We cannot do loopbacks in sequence. So I will drag this activity flowchart. Now I will drag first of all the input dialog, which will ask to enter the paragraph. So I will simply type here. I hope you are building the bot parallelly with me. So paragraph input label is enter your paragraph here. Okay. Input text box is a single text box because we need a single value of paragraph, which is going to be string. So I will create a variable called as paragraph. Okay. Simple. Similarly, I am going to rename this as input paragraph here and copy paste this activity and connect it here. Only the questions will change. So this will be input question. Title will be question. Input label will be enter your question here. And the value entered would be new variable called as question. Done. So now what we are doing here is we first of all took input from user as a paragraph. The second thing we took input from user is a question. Okay. Now, what this particular model takes as input specifically. So let's navigate to the model first. Interact the model, and the model is language comprehension question answering. Okay. So this model takes input specifically a JSON formatted data where there is paragraph and question as two JSON data fields. The first field is a paragraph, the second field is question. You can also see it is very specific that the paragraph capital is not capital letter, first letter, and the questions also first letter is not capital, so everything is lowercase. Apart from that, within the paragraph you can enter any data, there is no issue, but it should not be a new line. Remember that. Within the question you can create any question you can ask here. Okay, now we need to first of all create our input in such a way that we are able to pass this format of input to the bot. Now in order to pass this format of input, that means we need to create a JSON format from the string variables. We have right now two string variables and we need to create this format of data. So first of all, let us focus on how can we do that. Okay, so in order to do that, what we can do is we can store this both the data in a data table. Okay, now you will ask me why data table. So this is my way. You can also approach a different way. There's no issue at all. So simply what I will do is I will say build a data table. You can take any development approach. It's up to you. Click on data table, and here I will create a new two columns. Okay, first column would be paragraph, right, as it is needed, and the second column would be question. And this is a blank data table. I will call this as, let's say, input DT. Okay. Now, after this data table is built, what I will do is I will pass my data, paragraph and question, which I take from user in this data table as a first row. So add data row. I will perform add data row in which I will pass array as paragraph and as question. You should remove this full stop symbol from start, that makes it object, and save. And then in the data table, I will pass input DT. Okay, so input the paragraph is a input dialog box. Input question is a second input dialog box. We built a data table for skeleton, and we added the data row, which we took from input from user to the data table. And now we can download one package, which is one of the most useful package which I found is data table to JSON, designed by Sandeep. So Sandeep Patak, thank you so much for this package. And this package actually converts your data table to JSON very easily. So I'm going to install this package right here. You might also have a different approach if you know C# better. You can create it data table to JSON using C#. You can also do that. Now what you have to do is data table to JSON. So this is the activity, data table to JSON. I will drag it right below this. And this activity, I will input the data, which is input DT. And the output I'm going to receive is going to be a variable called as input JSON, let's say. Okay. So the output is input JSON, and we will try to print it here. So let's print input JSON. So this one. And let's see how it converts this particular questions which we enter, answers we enter, from string to data table. Okay, so let's try to run this model quickly. And we have our paragraph here. So let's copy the paragraph. Sorry. Let's copy the paragraph here. And let's copy the question also. Or we can enter any question. Let's say okay, and let's click on OK and done. So what is executed, and let's look at how it generates. So it creates our data in this way. Now, rather than printing it in write line, let me print it in a notepad. That would be much better to explain you. So for writing in notepad, I will simply say append line. I will drag the append line here. The text is going to be input JSON, and the file name is, let's say, input JSON .txt. Okay, and we are going to run that again. Let's say run. We copy this, pass it to the paragraph variable, and let's say pass this question. Let's drag this question and pass it as a question. Now what happens here? We get the data after data table to JSON conversion in this format, where we have a square bracket and then we have a JSON formatted paragraph. Okay, and we have question also tagged with this one. But there is a square bracket, right? At the beginning and at the end, there is a square bracket open, square bracket close. This happens because of the data table to JSON converter. Now, if I do not want to include this square brackets in my input, what can I do? Can anyone answer? One second, let me make it straight. Okay. Let me connect this process to here so that we do not have to create. So yes, Nagarjun has answered the question correct. So we can replace it, correct? So in order to pass this data to our ML skill, so first of all, we need to install the package of ML skill. So we will click on official, we'll type here ML, and this is our ML skill package. So we will click on install and we will say save. And now the package is getting saved and done. Now what we will do inside the process, we will drag the package of ML skill right here, and we will select from the drop down, we will select the question answering model. Okay, and then we will pass here that the response is what is input JSON. Okay, so we will pass here input JSON dot replace. We will replace the open square bracket by nothing, dot again replace, and we will replace this time closing square bracket by nothing. Okay, cool. And now we will get the output in the JSON response, which is always going to be a JSON string. And to deserialize this JSON string, we are going to require one more package, and the package name is, what is the name of the package that we require to deserialize the JSON? Web activity, exactly. So we need UiPath.web.services. So web and UiPath.web.activities, we will install this package, which is much needed for the deserialization or any operation on the JSON right now. So we'll install it. Done. And now what we will do, this is the JSON response, which is received in a JSON string format. So we will deserialize this. For deserializing, we will just write deserialize JSON activity here, pass the JSON response here, and deserialize it in a variable called as JSON Object. Okay, and then we will try to print this JSON object, or we will take the assign activity here, and we will get our answer in a variable from JSON activity, JSON object, just from the answer. So how this looks, let me show you. JSON object bracket answer dot toString, which will give you the answer from the response of JSON. How do I know that? Is because in the package you can see here, it says the output description is only answer filled in a JSON format. That is also in a JSON format. Okay, so you'll get the data here, and okay, where is that? So you'll get the data here in the answer variable. Let's make the variable global. We want to send it outside. I change the scope of the variable, and once it is processed, so I will call this as ML process. Once this is processed, let's display the answer in a message box. So I will drag here a message box. In the message box, I will write here, so the answer is answer. Perfect. Now I need to make sure to create this bot in such a way that I want to give user 3 choices. The first choice should be whether do you want to ask next question on the same paragraph. Second choice should be whether do you want to change the paragraph. And the third choice should be, do you want to exit? How can I do that? Which activity should I use first?
In simple input dialog activity, you can give the choice using
Perfect. So we can give the choice in the input dialog activity. So what I will do is I will and in the input dialog, I will write here the first thing, which is choice. The input level will be select your choice of operation. Okay. And the input type would be multiple choice question. So multiple choice, you have either string or you have array. So how do you define array? Let's quickly create an array. You see here, say next question. There's a string array. I'm giving a default hard-coded array. So next question, next paragraph, or exit. Okay, so next question, next paragraph, or exit. These are the 3 choices that user has. And the output which user selects will be stored in a choice called variable. Okay. Now what do I do? Once I get the output from user in a choice variable, I will simply drag here a flow decision activity. Okay, so I'll drag a flow decision activity here, in which I will simply say if my choice is equals to exit. If my choice is to exit, if it is true, I do not have to attach any workflow in the true section. Correct? It will. I do not have to attach anything in the true. If it is false, I need to check one more condition. If the flow decision condition, you can see here, input the choice. And here we can type display answer. Okay. So this flow decision is nothing but exit. Do you want to exit, or do you want to ask next question? Okay, now for the next question, I will give a condition here whether my choice is equal to next question. Okay, if true, if my choice is equal to next question, then where do I need to redirect? In the input question, correct? So if it is true, I will redirect from here to the input question. And if it is incorrect, then obviously the last left choice would be next paragraph, correct? Because there are only 3 choices. So user either selects exit. If user selects exit, then user simply exits out. If user selects next question, then user will jump on next question. If user selects next paragraph, user will land on here. And with this, we have completed the bot, and let's try to run our bot, which we just created. So let's say run. Navigate here. We'll copy this paragraph just in case and enter the paragraph here. Okay. Click on OK, and we have enter your question here. So we can ask any question. Let's say we ask a question. We can say that a sedimentary rock is sort of museum holding a record all the time over which is once long in billion years. Okay. Layer after layer in minerals is deposited over a great span of time. So can we ask a question like what forms sedimentary rock? I don't know if that's a relevant question or not. I'm really not sure if how bot is going to answer that question, but let's see. So the answer is sedimentation. Okay, so it gave the answer according to the logical answer. It is sedimentation process only. So that means our bot worked. Now click on OK and let's select the next paragraph. Click on OK. Now let's look at the next paragraph here. No thanks. Let's look at the next paragraph is, let's say, this one. So let's select this paragraph and copy it and paste it here. Okay, so space exploratory is very exciting field of research. It is frontier physics, blah, blah, blah. However, it does not go. A normal space shuttle cost about, okay, so let's ask, how much a space shuttle cost? Okay. So answer is $1.5 billion, correct? Let's look at the answer that we receive from this bot is $1.5 billion. So as you can see, the bot is pretty smart to identify answer from the paragraph. Now, no matter how you tweak your question, you can get the answer. Try to play around with this bot, create this robot. This is very simple and very reusable robot. So you can create this bot with very simple steps, and you can utilize it in any way that you want on a daily basis also, because it's very useful one. And also post it on the social media, tagging me and Vibor, as Piyush and Mukesh has been already doing since a couple of sessions. Also, I saw Rushali is there, who is being very active on the social media with the sessions. Thank you so much, all of you, for your help on the social media. Now, after this model, we will look at the another model. Let's look at the second model in the same language comprehension package is semantic similarity. Now, semantic similarity is a very tricky one. Now look at this. So this model predicts the semantic similarity between two sentences. Okay. The model uses a deep learning architecture, Roberta, a self-supervised method for pre-training natural language processing, which is based on NLP. So all the text-based languages and machine learning models are mostly NLP models. Okay. The original paper can be found here. You can find the paper here, which is by this people. And now let's look at the input and output description. So the input description is, this is the sentence you can see here. The boy likes to read. The child enjoys book. These are two sentences which are sent in a square bracket. You can see here. Compare this example with another example where one might not expect a high semantic similarity score. The boy likes to read. The child enjoys playing sports. Okay. Now here, boy likes to read is similar, but child enjoys books and the child enjoys playing sport is different. Correct? So here a number between 0 to 5 is displayed in order to ensure the semantic similarity, which gives you a score. So 0 means the little, or you can say no semantic similarity, and 5 stands for highest semantic similarity between the two sentences. In the two previous examples, the scores are 4.09 and 0.98. So 4.09 stands for high similarity because the boy likes to read and this boy also likes to read. Okay, that's why it is almost 98% accurate. Okay, and in this sentence, the child enjoys book, but in this one, the child does not enjoy book. Child actually enjoys playing sports. So that's why for the first sentence, it was 4.9. My mistake. So for the first sentence, boy likes to read, it was 4.09, which means that the similarity is towards the highly semantic similarity. And for the second sentence, the child enjoys playing book. Sorry, child enjoys book and the child enjoys playing sports is least similar. That's why the score is towards 0. You can see no semantic similarity. So this is how smart this model is. This identifies similarities between two sentences, okay, which is also an NLP model. And after that, we will look at the text summarization. So text summarization is another cherry on top. This model is a very nicely trained model, which actually works as of now only with the input which is less than 300 characters. This model will return unaltered text, will just return the unaltered input. That means whatever you give as an input, it will it will reply you back with a summarized text of the input. So as you can see here, text to be summarizing as a string on small inputs. As of now, it is only for 300 character support. The model will just return unaltered text input, which is summarized text as a string. So as you might have seen, these all three models from language comprehension are based on NLP. And all these three models are non-retrainable models. So you can actually go ahead and enjoy creating these models, and you can create so many use cases and you can build this. Now, also there was one thing which was pending from yesterday, which I wanted to cover. So let's try to cover it here. So I wanted to cover this, the the blog which I posted on RPA community for UiPath's sentiment analysis AI fabric model. Now this we could not show yesterday because of the technical glitch. Today we'll go through this model. I will also share this link with you. If I have already shared it yesterday also, you can go through this link. Okay. Now this particular blog is regarding how can you use and how can you optimistically leverage sentiment analysis model in real-time use cases. Now I want you guys to think hard, brainstorm, and put any one of these real-time use cases into picture in real life and create a bot. So let's talk about what can we create with sentiment analysis. So the first thing is identifying customer feedback sentiments for an e-commerce business, which already we saw yesterday. We saw example of TripAdvisor. You can also create it for Amazon or any feedback reviews wherever you get open source data. You can play around with the data and you can identify sentiments. But the main reason behind it is one of the most and common, most practiced use case for sentiment analysis, where we can actually identify sentiments from customer reviews on a product review platform. And this model can be used to find patterns and identify client sentiments for products like Amazon, Flipkart, Alibaba, eBay, or any retail website you can use. Now, the second use case you can create on AI Fabric sentiment analysis is finding patterns of seasonal and regional impact on the products. Now, how does a product impact on a specific region, or what is the impact of a product on a specific, for a specific season? For example, I can give you the latest example. PlayStation 5 from Sony was first of all released in all the European countries, but not in India, because there was a regional impact. The regional impact is that PlayStation 4 was already being used very highly, and there is not high level of sale for such high-end graphic games and also buying the CDs. So that's why they did not prefer to launch this product first in country like India, but rather they launched it in European countries or in few countries where there is not much gamers available or not a bigger community of gamers. So this is how people first of all take reviews and feedbacks based on the regional impact. Now, how does the seasonal impact you can check? So seasonal impact you can check if you want to sell any ice cream. So why would you go to a place where there is always 8 months of snow? Would you be able to sell ice cream in that region? No, correct? There will be very less number of customers or less amount of people who will be ready to opt in to buy ice cream in a season of winter. So you won't prefer business of ice cream in a winter season. So this is how you can identify seasonal and regional impact based on the reviews which you can take from customer or people from that specific region, and identify sentiments of the people, and you can find the pattern based on that. So it is only for finding out the pattern. Okay. The third example is to identifying target audience. Now, how do you identify a target audience? If you give a target audience, let's say if you launch a product which is for a specific target audience of for people from age 15 to age 30, and if you give this particular review to write a review to people whose age is more than 30, they might write a negative feedback, and you can understand for this particular target audience, this is not the rightful product. The target audience is only the small group. Now, as I can give you an example here. So I have already written in certain age group, for example, based on customer review, categories of customers, People in some age group tend to have a positive feedback, and people in some another age group tend to have negative feedback about the product. So you can anytime find out the rightful target audience for your product before you launch it. Okay. Employee feedback analysis. This is one of the most important use case and one of the most important reality happens in each and every organization, where employee feedback is taken on the yearly basis, and it is necessary because employee makes your company. So company usually do yearly feedback such as great place to work surveys and something like that, which identifies sentiments and captures data from user and employees. Now, very highly, if you can check very negative sentences, very negative, you can identify sentiments from the employees. And if you separate and classify only very negative feedback, you can actually address that employee's issue. If he has some personal issues, and if he has some issues with the organization, you can report to that specific employee, and you can immediately look into his problem. So you can utilize such employee feedback analysis using sentiment analysis and identify employees' issues. The fifth use case could be identification of a fraudulent brand influencers. Now, sometimes product reviewers are intentionally manipulated by fraudulent influencers. How can you do that? It is very difficult to organize and very difficult to identify. Okay, that's okay, Nidhi. No issues. We'll see you in the next session. So it is very difficult to identify fraudulent influencers. So you can do that with UiPath's sentiment analysis model. And similarly, like that, I have competitive analysis, reputation marketing, client retention management, and you can do wonders with the sentiment analysis model. So try to apply this model and utilize this model in the real time and build some wonderful use cases based on this blog. Also, we have seen today a question answering model. I hope you like the model. I hope you will build this model and build some wonderful use cases. I am done with the technical perspective. If you guys have any question, you can ask the question so that we can close on the session. Thank you so much.
Hi, Nisag. I have a question related to the previous session. Actually,
Okay.
the recorded session was not available in the UiPath community event. So, is it possible?
So maybe Vibhor is on holiday.
Okay.
As soon as Vibhor will be back, we will make sure to upload the session. The sessions are mostly uploaded on the cloud of UiPath, so I do not have access to that. Only Vibhor will have access to that. So once he will be back, he'll be uploading those sessions on the session page.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions, Piyush, Mahesh, or Mukesh? Mukesh is already dropped out, is it?
And I have one more question.
Yes,
Like
Mukesh.
you shown some Python script to analyze statement and sentiment analysis. Is it possible to share that XAML file?
You can actually get that XML file on my YouTube channel. I already have the entire video and the XML file also shared on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
If you're already a subscriber, you can get it on one of my videos.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So there's a playlist called as question answering bot. You can refer that playlist. You can get it from there, Santosh.
Okay.
If you don't find it there, you can reach out to me anytime on LinkedIn.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
But any questions, Pooja or Piyush?
Nisab, is there any limit to the passage that we can use with the language comprehension?
As of now, they have not mentioned it there. But only thing which I have observed as of now is if you enter a package which has passage which has at the end which has a new line, it won't work. It will throw error. So I think you have to remove all the new lines and you have to submit a package with the trim function mostly.
Okay.
So I have not checked the limit quite often because I have not used it in production yet.
Cool.
Yeah. But you can anytime try that and try with the errors also so that you get to know the limit also. That will be a
Yeah.
better way to just, check the model anytime. Thank you, Vishali. Looking forward to see you in the next session. Thank you so much, guys. If no questions, we can close on this session. We'll connect in the next session again, which is next week. And the next session, next two sessions are going to be really great. Next session is going to be on the language translation, in which we will learn about the international communication with all the clients and how can we manage communication without learning that language. You can also find relevant topics on my YouTube channel, which you can refer. And in the last session, we are going to look at the TPOT model, which is one of the most useful and most awesome models of AI Fabric, which I have kept for the last session. Hope to see you in the next session. Bring your friends and keep sharing on the social media. Thank you so much and see you.
Thank you, Nizar.